Kevin, what do you say to John about that?
Yeah, well, I know he was unpopular in Scotland, but I went out to campaign for the Conservatives in the last general election, as I say, because I'd always voted Labour, and he was a definite electoral asset in the sort of northern constituencies I was campaigning in for the Conservative Party. I think there's still a lot in the Ringwall constituencies that still think a lot of Boris.
Do they think enough about the Conservatives to vote for that party without Boris Johnson?
I don't know, but certainly Labour's not offering any reasonable alternative, particularly when it comes to the European question, because I think Labour are going to combine with the Lib Dems and what's left of the SNP to try and get the country back into the EU. It seems that there's always this constant discussion now between the Liberals and Labour. There's all these rumours that they're going to form some kind of electoral pact, and one of the big things that the Liberal Democrats are certainly going to demand is our return to the EU.
I'm going to get one, because I can hear just John speaking in the background. Very briefly, John, then we've got so many calls I need to move on. What did you want to say?
I just want to say to him, why do we have levelling up in the north? It's because there's so out of touch. The Westminster bubble is all about the southeast. And if we have a proper representation in all four nations, and that includes England. England's been poorly represented as well. It would be great, and that's why the House of Lords should be elected members who have got the savvy to run the country properly, not just the four nations, but the British Isles.
John Bailey, Kevin Foster, thank you very much indeed. Steffi has tweeted, Boris Johnson has not been forced out. He's chosen to resign rather than fight a by-election. It's not the same thing. True to form, it's everybody else's fault. He's just a helpless victim of circumstances. Gwyn says, as clever as Boris Johnson is, the one thing he seems incapable of understanding is you can fool some of the people all of the time, and all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. Tara says, the audience cheered as Boris Johnson's resignation was announced. UK public life is now expunged of this populist, opportunist charlatan who, with those on whom he has today bestowed tarnished honours, did immeasurable damage to the UK economy and reputation, both home and abroad. Let's take another call from this. Anne Tomlin is calling us from Oxford. Hello, Anne.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anne.
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is I've had experience working with Boris Johnson when I was a district councillor many years ago. I'm an old retired lady now, and I have yet to come across a politician who's been totally honest. In all my life, when I've been involved with politics, I certainly wouldn't be involved now. I think Mr. Johnson saw us through some very difficult times. Yes, he made some mistakes, but I'd like to ask every member of the government who hasn't made a mistake.
So whatever is decided by the COVID inquiry, whatever is decided by the Privileges Committee or announced by the Privileges Committee, you still think he's the best man for the job, Anne?
It's the first time in my life I ever voted Conservative, was when he took up. Yes, he's a very clever man, but he makes mistakes, like most of us do. And he has made some mistakes, and he's also apologised for making some mistakes. But I sincerely think he's been hounded. I don't like what's going on in British politics at the moment. I find the dishonesty absolutely appalling. Nobody's working for the good of the country. We see this in the health service. Nobody is working to get the health service in a better place. Yes, okay, 40 new hospitals were promised by Mr. Johnson. Whether we'd have got them if he'd have stayed, we don't know. But you've got to have the money to build those hospitals. And frankly, our situation's in a very bad way at the moment financially.
Grateful for your call. Thank you very much
in
indeed.
1,000 feet. Keep right to a 201 New Kent
John
Road.
Harrison. Anne says all politicians are dishonest. She doesn't like what's going on in our democracy. He's been hounded out for her words.
Yes, well, what I feel on that subject is that Boris Johnson is a perfect example